I'm a tax lawyer, small practice, and essentially dealing in the SME market. So I deal with a lot of other accountants who are tax agents and what have you. Been in business for over 28 years in this tax profession, and essentially for me it was an evolution thing. So for me it's sort of the penny really dropped when I first recruited my first female solicitor, and I started mentoring her and training her to be a tax lawyer. And I just realised, look, wow, enormous potential here. Someone like this can really deliver, and really deliver in terms of the bottom line. But having said that, it wasn't without challenges. Okay, earlier on in the piece there was some resistance from clients. We have clients in the building construction industry, developers, for instance, who have fairly sort of, blinkered sort of views about the role of a woman, and didn't take too kindly to sitting in a meeting with a woman lawyer and insisting that they should see me rather than me. So you'd sort of have to call that sort of stuff out. You've got to basically say, no, this is the person you're dealing with. They're very capable, they're very experienced, and just haven't have nothing to do with that. Does that still happen now,
do you reckon?
I think it still does, probably in the smaller to medium-sized type of industries where this whole message hasn't really filtered through yet.
Yeah.
So that still happens. There's also things, for example, like even client attitudes, like sexist type of attitudes, where that has to be called out. So you've got to be prepared to back it up and call these people out and say, look, what you're saying is wrong. These are people who are equal to us, capable, talented in every way, and you've basically got to call that out and make sure that people understand that it's not right in today's society. And in fact, it probably was never right, but we've started realising that. So for me, it was more of an evolution, and how important it was for equality. Having a daughter, for instance, and thinking, what sort of future do I want for my daughter? Do I want my daughter to experience things that she shouldn't have to experience? And so that sort of made me an advocate for being a male champion of change. And also it makes good sense towards the business and the bottom line. I mean, women are talented and they can really contribute to your business. What we've done, what I've done personally, is I've recruited women lawyers.
Yep.
I've mentored them, I've trained them, I've basically encouraged them to get involved in the business, not purely from a technical perspective, but also from a practice development, client management perspective. I've encouraged them to present for the Tax Institute, present to other groups. And I think that's had a positive impact, not only for them in terms of their professional development, but also it showcases to other practitioners, male practitioners, that look, these women are equally as capable. And I've seen some change in my immediate network where people have said, have come back to me and said, gee, that particular person, that solicitor you put on, they really know what they're talking about, and they're quite comfortable, and they think, well, gee, this is a possibility for us in our own practices. The other thing that we've also done at our practice is that we've encouraged women, particularly women who are looking at more of a work-life type of balance, where we've said, look, I know you want to go off and start a family and so forth, but it doesn't have to be the end of your career. With the technology we have these days, working from home, remote access, a whole lot of things, you can quite easily work from home. I mean, fortunately, the thing is with our business, it's all file-based, matter-based. Yeah. So you can quite easily just take as many matters as you want that you feel comfortable that you can work for a number of hours a week, what have you, and actually do that from home and do so remotely. So I have been encouraging and saying, well, just don't leave. You've built up all this knowledge over all these years. Just don't give it away. I mean, why give it away? I mean, unless you really want to, you don't like it, but you always have a place within our organisation. And we're prepared to work with you.
Do you have male employees who would like to do that as well?
Well, look, I don't have male employees at the moment. Like I said, we're only a small team. Yeah. But quite frankly, I would be quite open to it. Yeah. I mean, I think with the way technology is moving these days, I don't think you need people physically in the office 9 to 5 anymore. I think clients just want their work done. They want it done properly, cost effectively, and what have you. And if you can deliver on that, you don't necessarily have to be in 9 to 5. I mean, it doesn't. Look, the legal profession doesn't have to be a 9 to 5 sort of profession. And if a client wants to ring you and you happen not to be in the office, I'm sure the receptionist can quite easily put them through to your mobile phone at home or wherever you might be.
You would think. You would
exactly,
think.
Yeah.
And it's interesting, isn't it? Because such a contrast to what Tim's been talking about with the software sort of area and that kind of part of the STEM area. Because it's not a supply issue. What is it? How many law graduates are now women? You know, it's, yeah.
But more importantly, look, there are lots of law graduates. I mean, there's all sorts of numbers flying around there about how many law graduates there are and how many jobs there are and what have you. So there's lots of law graduates, but there aren't many people who are trained up in our area of the industry.
Yeah.
So you don't particularly want to be letting go of people because they want some sort of lifestyle change and what have you. Yeah. So it's important to hold on to those people and do what you can as an employer to hold on to those people because they're good for your business. It makes sense.
Skills. Yeah. Nick, you mentioned before that kind of conversation when you'd have a client from construction. Those are tricky conversations, aren't they?
Look, they certainly are. I mean, we're talking about old school people, old school sort of developers who, you know, have dinosaur type of views. And look, at the end of the day, you've got to really call it out. You can't just let it go. And in any way, shape or form. And look, if it risks offending the client, it risks offending the client. But these things have to change. And look, just picking up on the point that Tim said, I mean, like from in terms of from where I see things, like I started in the profession 28 years ago, and look, I started with one of the big 4 accounting firms now, and there was only one female partner in the whole tax group, and there were dozens of members of that group. Back in the day, they used to smoke in the office, and they used to, and having a plain copy fax machine was like, the pinnacle of IT technology. But over those years, things have changed, right? Like, and what I can see in my market segment, being the SME accountant sort of market segment, you now have women going out there and setting up their own firms. You now have women who are partners in smaller accounting firms and senior managers and what have you. The situation might be because, look, we've got a situation here where in that sort of market segment, they're all complaining to me and saying how difficult it is to find talented people. So there's lots and lots of opportunities. So these people will just sort of grab, if there's a talented female, they'll grab a talented female. If there's a talented male, they'll grab a talented male. So there's opportunity. And I think with that opportunity and what have you, I think it sort of brings down and it sort of tends to equalise things.
Yeah.